My big idea is that our institutions around the world need a radical overhaul, particularly if they're going to be conducive to the qualities of leadership that I write about in my forthcoming book, Still Moving. So what do I mean by a radical overhaul? Number one, the openness to depth. Can our institutions go to the source of their unhelpful routines and patterns and be brave enough to explore maybe some of the shadow side of their institution? For example, what if politicians in Westminster here in the UK could have observers in Parliament and actually holding up the mirror to the patterns of behaviour that they witness that could be unhelpful? What if we could have had a post-analysis of the EU referendum and how the campaigning was done, to look into all of the dark side of how that campaign was led in order to learn what was going on? So I do long for a more self-aware world where we are brave enough to create reflection space. Secondly, our institutions need to be far more effective at collaborating across borders. Leadership today in our systemically joined up world is a collective act. We cannot act in isolation, unilaterally. Can organisations actually open their borders and collaborate in their ecosystem of the market in which they actually operate? What would that look like in practice? Let's just go back to politics. For example, could we have more all-party initiatives? The UK exiting the European Union, the so-called Brexit. I do dream of a world where politicians from across all parties could put behind the Brexit move and not just one political party. Maybe that's naive, maybe I'm being too optimistic here, but I do believe that we need a more outer-reaching world that transcends partisan views and rigid solutions. Finally, can our institutions be far more prepared to approach difficulty? Systems are strengthened when truth is acknowledged, however hard that might be. So what would that look like in practice? Could we have CEOs and main boards who are more transparent in their reporting mechanisms with analysts? Could we have politicians actually confessing where maybe they actually did something that was not necessarily desirable without the fear of losing their votes? What if we could dispel muddy language in corporate life, where you read these internal memos and you think, what on earth is somebody trying to say here? So I do yearn for a braver world where difficulty is given a more respectful place. So in summary, my big idea is that it is not enough just to work on leadership. Our institutions systemically need a radical overhaul if we're going to get the quality of leadership we need to cope in today's uncertain, complex, joined-up world. More self-aware institutions, more outer-reaching institutions, and at the end of the day, braver and more courageous and transparent institutions.